Yeah, Lady K, thank you very much. And the entire team, Dr. Oduato Intaiwo, Sheifumi Adepote, Benga Osnaike, Ibrahim Haruna. I want to thank you all very much for your support in sustaining the monthly tonic, as they call us now. Some people drop me notes that this is a tonic they take every month to get them going on issues to do with trade. So I welcome everybody on behalf of the team. So I was on the point of especially appreciating our lead guest speaker, Titi Ojo. He took a camel to pass through the needle's eye to get Titi to squeeze out the 2 hours of today. But I just imagined that we needed that kind of touch and that kind of expertise. So thanks for honoring me. God will honor you. Madaki, Gagarin, and Chimere Ojionu, every time that we have issues to discuss that are of this nature, you have been always standing up. Thanks. To the topic of today, export for survival, charting the path for Nigeria's non-oil export success. I'm very sure that those of you here today who are members of the Talking Trade Global platform, you would have seen the kind of salvos that have been flying around over the past 3 or so weeks with one agency of the Nigerian government churning out one policy after the other and the sector responding to actually protest or complain about how draconian these policies are and how export friendly or export unfriendly they are. Some of us have the privileges of having lived and grown up in Nigeria, and with the privilege of dual citizenship, have tasted other climes. And when we talk best practice, we are able to actually pinpoint what those practices are. Some of these that work elsewhere include synergy and unity of purpose. And I'm very sure that we've all had a house divided against itself cannot stand, and all of those. So we at Talking Trade thought Nigeria Export Promotion Council has a new leadership. The leadership immediately hit the ground running and brought a long nail and hit it in the head so deep that there was actually not a charity work, but an export work that was titled Export for Survival, or Export, yeah, it was Export for Survival. That's what I saw. And that has been the mantra, the new mantra of the NEPC. So while the discussion is not about NEPC and other agencies of government per se, we believe that for NEPC to have actually identified the fact that the survival of the Nigerian economy depends on non-oil export, we think that the resource we have in-house, both in the resource persons and even the people on the platform and those of you joining, we believed that it is opposite to actually harvest all of these ideas and opinions together so that we could bring up, as they say, a communique or a conclusion today that is a roadmap to what needs to be done, what can be done, what should be done, who should do what in these things that need to be done to ensure that Nigeria's identification of export as its only way for success can actually be achieved and efficiently pursued. That will be the focus. And of course, Lady K has introduced the guest speakers. Well, I think then my own job is done, is to welcome you all and to give you an idea of what it is we are going to be talking about today. So once again, welcome to everybody, and appreciation to our guest speakers. The floor is open as I hand you back to Lady K. Thank you.
Madam Titi Ojo, are you there?
Yes, I am. You might have my co-host yet, so I can share my screen.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, Nabi. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm already saying good morning. All right. Thank you, Talking Trade Platform. It's always a pleasure speaking here anyway. Always, always, always. And earlier today too, I went on the Talking Trade. I think I just generally caught up on some of the chats that had happened on that platform. And I've seen a whole lot. This Talking Trade platform is really rich. Like, we're always updated what's going on. We already have our comments up there. And I picked a few things that I also added to my presentation. So as a lead presenter, I will take us through a few things. Hoping I'll be within my timing. I don't want to get too emotional about stuff, but let me just say that this is what I'm going to present is to guide conversation, basically. Thank you, Mr. Boyde, once again. Thank you, Lady K, and the people behind Talking Trade. Thank you so much for this privilege. So let me just move quickly. So my first slide here, I presented a few facts because the topic is export for survival. And let me say that I was actually in that walk. I joined NEPC for that walk, the work for export for survival. And it was quite interesting, actually. I thoroughly did enjoy that work, and I felt it was just important we did that. These are the facts I would like to present. First, that non-oil exports accounted for more than 66% of Nigeria's total exports in the 60s. And this will help us know where we are right now, actually, how we have gone so down. Secondly, in the last quarter of 2018, non-oil export was as low as 3.4% of total exports of Nigeria, which is very, very low. We can't compare that now from the 60s to where we are now in 2018. And the oil sector, that's oil, accounts for up to 95% of the country's foreign exchange earnings and 80% of its budgetary revenues. And I've quoted my sources here. I have to put this because these are like staggering facts. And to corroborate further that export for survival is not cliche. It's what we should really take up very seriously. In 2020, you also could attest when we're in the middle of the crisis of COVID, that a barrel of crude oil became cheaper than a bottle of Coke. We're all alive at that time. And that was also another shock, that crude oil prices were almost in a negative. In fact, people wanted to dispose their crude oil, nobody was buying. It was that bad. And we had crude oil become cheaper than a bottle of Coke. So in an economy where most of the income, the oil sector accounts for 95% of its foreign exchange, if a situation like this arises, what would have expected? That could have been a turning point for us in Nigeria. It could have been a turning point, actually. That's because we also expected that the government would have put things, strategies in place to boost its intervention in the non-oil sector. So it still means that we pay lip service to the Nigeria's diversification agenda. That's just what it means. And we're talking about this diversification for years on end, and we still haven't done what is necessary or what is required. It looks like if we still pay lip service or pay lip service to this diversification agenda. So when the NEPC CEO, the new administration, brought up this slogan, export for survival, when you say survival, survival means something that is very, very, very critical. It's like someone that is drowning. At that point, he wants to just get out of the water. That's what it means. So survival is a very strong word, and we should take it as serious as it looks here. That's the way I expect the Nigerian government will look at it. Glad that NEPC is in the forefront of this agenda, and they've kind of captured it in a way that shows urgency. Export for survival. It's like we're sinking. We need to stay afloat. We need to survive. It's like we're sinking. We need to stay afloat. Right now, you can look at Nigeria's economy. A lot of things are in shambles, even right now. Inflation rate. Sometimes I ask myself, how do people even eat in this town? I don't understand. In Nigeria right now, I don't understand. Because every week, I send my mate to the market. If I bought oil at 6,005, I think I bought oil last month, 6,005. By the time I went back last week, my girl bought it for 7,200. And it's not even coming down. Before I went to the 6,005, he bought it like 5,002 within a space of 3 months. It's terrible. So export for survival, we're coming there. And yes, the NEPC CEO granted his interview was in Tribune and many other newspapers. And I quoted some lines here. I actually put it here, quoting that. And I'm going to read that. It says, speaking at the weekend in Abuja, the executive director of NEPC, Dr. Ezra Yakusa, called on Nigerians to embrace the export of made in Nigeria products to boost the country's economy, create jobs, and attract foreign direct investment. Now, some of us we've been in chat rooms, even on Talking Trade. We've been in different platforms where we've talked about how federal government is looking for FDI, like they're looking for it like, let me see, they're charging like a bull in a room. But of course, exports is the answer. Exports is the answer, not draconian regulatory, policies just showing up from nowhere, not breathing down the neck of exporters. And I don't know, it's just horrible. What has happened in the last 2 months keeps us wondering that the key to attracting foreign direct investment is building a virile export sector. How do we make this happen? The executive director of NEPC said it will boost our country's economy because, yes, it will drive local production. And when we are driving local production, we are creating jobs in the process. In Nigeria, for example, we have a lot of young people that don't have jobs, but Nigerians want to work. Nigerians want to work. Give them the jobs and you'll be surprised of how they are going to do it. Yesterday, I hosted the Idea Factory and I brought in Jael Oliver. Jael Oliver is American, actually, but the idea that he brought in, he implemented it in Nigeria. He's a social entrepreneur and he's the owner of Hello Tractor. He said some very beautiful things about Nigeria. And he said all the staff he has employed are Nigerians and they're great young people. They've really contributed to what Hello Tractor is today. And he spoke about these young people with such, he was so happy that he was able to see Nigeria even in another light as good. These are good people. So we have young people that want to work. If we think of an export-driven economy, then we begin to look at how we can increase our local production and put all the necessary structures in place. You'll be surprised how that we're going to create jobs for the teeming youths that are running every day. Some of them are into drugs, some of them are into yahoo, some of them are they're carrying guns every day. Export seems to answer some of these questions, if not all. And here, the CEO also said NEPC is working assiduously to create an enabling environment for exporters. And of course, it started with sensitization, which was that particular match that I joined them in. So I just kind of summarized that here. So you have these three wheels that are driving each other. Export is driving foreign direct investment. And of course, export is driving jobs because of the local production. Industries will begin to spring up. We begin to look very more closely to quality issues. And the impact is massive if you do that well. Now, there's another dilemma too. Also last year, the DG of NAFDAC granted an interview and said over 96% of Nigerian agricultural commodities are rejected by the EU. I purposely use this photo of Prof because it shows exasperation. Like she was worried. She was worried. So I now look at that whole gamut, I looked at it from two perspectives, okay? So, because when she was asked why this is so, what did she say? She said exporters are boycotting regulatory procedures and that all the food products rejected abroad never went through the scrutiny of both NAFDAC and NAQS. Well, she is right to a very good extent. But do you know that when the process becomes cumbersome, people will begin to cut corners? That's what it means. People would naturally not cut corners if they have an enabling business environment. So I'm looking at how are we going to build an enabling business environment so that we can stop those that are cutting corners actually, and then getting out of this quagmire that we found ourselves, because it's a matter of integrity as well in international markets. When we have up to 76% of our commodities rejected, our name is in red. How do we deal with this situation? Of course, she went forward to say that the storage facility is very poor for micro and small businesses, and on she went. And here is a real dilemma. As the executive secretary of MPNEN, that's the Network of Practicing Non-Oil Exporters of Nigeria, we've had about 5 town hall meetings. And each time we raise the issues. What are the issues for exporters? What do we want? What do exporters want? What is the cry of exporters? What are our cries? Of course, these are the real issues. First of all, port challenges in Nigeria is horrible. There's a terrible port logistics. And right now, I'm coming to that slide, but if you look at the number of days that even containers get to leave Nigeria, most of the time is over 45 days. Yes, 30 to 45 days, compared to other neighboring African countries where your containers leave in 5 to 10 days. Now you have to take a business decision, actually, because even the buyer cannot wait for 45 days. So port challenges have become a big issue. High transaction cost that comes from, of course, our production, interest rates, and all the other logistical aspects of production that has just put in all the costs we're looking at, even infrastructure. We're looking at lack of transparency in export facilitating agencies of government. And I think the lack of transparency is probably due to corruption. Lack of financing for export, and where it's available, it's inflexible. High cost of production. Yeah, okay, I'm kind of repeating again, due to lack of infrastructure. Then one big deal is a lack of synergy between export supporting MDAs of government. And because of this, we are seeing multiple taxations. Some are so related, and yet you're wondering, why am I paying twice for the same thing that could have just costed one thing? Lack of synergy is causing a lot of problems. Our last town hall, where we hosted NAFDAC, there was a big issue that was raised by 2 or 3 exporters right there. And they were asking, why is NAFDAC and NEPC not in synergy? Because we work with NEPC, they prepare us for the international market. They get us our voluntary certifications, the third-party certifications. Some of them get FDA certifications, they get ISO. Then they get to NAFDAC, and NAFDAC says you cannot put those things on your label. It's just counterproductive. NEPC is preparing for the market. NAFDAC is saying, no, you cannot put your certifications on our labels. Oh my God, that was crazy. That was crazy. And I remember we hosted a group of NAFDAC ladies in one of my trainings. And one of them made a comment. I felt so disappointed. He said, have you people even served your local markets? Why are you thinking about export? I was like, my dear, can't you remember that I came for an export meeting? So this is crazy. When NEPC is doing one thing and NAFDAC is doing something counterproductive to that same one thing. And these are the things we've been talking about. Non-compliance, of course. I also try to look inwards too. We can point all the fingers to government, but definitely it's not all fingers you point to government. There's also a part where we need to fill. There's a role we have to play as well. Yeah, so I will talk about non-compliance, cutting corners as something that we need to deal with. That's the people factor. The last two, lack of enabling policies and regulations. Ill-formed, draconian policies, I tell you, from lack of consultation. And this has happened in recent times. Of course, when we had the price verification mechanism that CBN came out with, of course, we had a bit of a challenge with that. Most exporters had to cry out. In fact, NEPC had to quickly do a kind of a town hall. But with all the engagements that CBN had exporters, and for which I attended the Abuja leg, it was obvious that they were not ready to change their minds about what they have said they were going to do. All they came to do in those meetings was to just force it down our throats and just let us know that it's going to start on February 1. That's what they wanted to do. They were not ready. So what is the essence? You said you want to engage exporters, and then you bring us into all these consultation meetings, and yet our voices still don't matter. These are serious issues. And the last one here that I put is poor implementation strategies, because also it's not that we don't have policies. I really think that if we dig into the policy, our bags of policies, we do have really beautiful policies, but implementation too has been a big issue. The people factor has come into place in some of these policies, and some of these policies never even get implemented. And in some cases, we're even running foul of the same policy that we have set up. So poor implementation strategies has also been a big issue in this particular sector. These are just but a few. If we sit here today, we won't even finish. But of course, I wanted it to be balanced. Yes, government has its role to play. We as well, we have our roles to play in this matter, but we need an enabling environment to make it work. Now, today I was reading through our platform. And of course, these are news stories making the rounds right now. CBN, customs, others disagree over import and export policies. Okay? Now, CBN, that means customs. CBN is even consulting other agencies of government in the same, on these normal export issues. They just go ahead and do their thing. Now, customs is saying no. When will we get off this racket? I don't understand. This was a nation newspaper. Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigeria Customs are opposing each other over the evaluation, e-invoice policy for import and export introduced by the Apex Bank. It's a shame when we begin to see things like this happening. And customs is a major institution in Nigeria as well when it comes to trade. So if Our major trade institutions are not even talking to each other. We have not started. So it's like dragging each other and it's in the newspapers. Then, of course, another thing making the rounds, of course, Nigerian Customs Service. This was in this day of March 4, yes, as well. Nigerian Customs Service yesterday assured members of the Senate that it will generate 3.019 trillion into the Federation account this year. And when I read that on Talking Trade platform, somebody said, from where? As in, where is this money going to come from? And I think Miss Vicky responded and said, from exporters now. And that's what it is. See, when I read this thing as well, this, which wasn't today, I read it before. I'm like, where is this money going to come from? I hope there are not all sort of charges will not show up. All sort of, man, we are paying dearly for what we want to do in this country. Our exporters are paying dearly, and a lot of us are paying dearly for even doing the right things. We're slammed with all sort of tariffs. Some they're even baseless. We don't even know where they're coming from. I remember the last, was it the third one we did in August last year, the town hall. Chief Dafinone too was talking about shipping lines. They just wake up and say these are their charges. So we can't even, why is it changing? Why are you just fixing prices anyhow? What is controlling this market? Is like a free fall. He was also talking about it. So I'm wondering, and when somebody had asked, where is this money coming from? And Ms. Vicky said from exporters. I just smiled because indeed we're in for it. And then the last one I read also on that platform, the March 4 this same year as well, IMF says Nigeria has failed to diversify its exports. Of course, because they've understudied us since 1990. And let me read what I also picked up from the website, from the newspaper report. So Nigeria only added 47 new products to its export portfolio during a 30-year period between 1990 and 2022. This is unlike other countries, including Tanzania and Cameroon, who added 95 new products during the same period under review. The IMF therefore advised the West African country to further diversify its exports, as doing so will be beneficial to its economy. Nigeria has failed to extensively diversify its export portfolio, a new report by the International Monetary Fund said. Now, these are issues and these are indices. This is data that is coming to us to help us rethink. We have to start rethinking this export for survival. We have to start rethinking. Because even IMF is making a point that 30 years, within a 30-year period, we have only added 47 new products, whereas other countries that are not even as big as us, perhaps they're not as powerful, they don't have all the access that we have, the human capital and all that. They have added at least 95 new products during the same period. We have what it takes. That's what it means. And there's a worse dilemma for us, and this bleeds my heart, truly, that Nigerians are now exporting through neighboring countries. I have friends that export through Ghana, they export through Gambia right now. And do you know that when we export through the ports of these other countries, it's counted to them as their exports? Nigeria, so that means even our export potential is underreported because some of these ones are even diverted to other countries. Anyway, so we are losing, even in terms of the data we're even capturing, we are not reporting enough because most of these exports are even diverted to other ports where things are working. And I can't blame anyone. If your containers will leave in 5 days, and if you leave in 5 days when you take it to Togo and you are able to do all the in-betweens to get it there, or to get your products there and then put in a container and off it goes, is it not a business decision? So can we really say Nigerians are doing this, are doing wrong? Well, it's a business decision. And recently, one of our highest exporters of commodities, I won't say their name, but in the top 10 exporters in 2018, I saw they were number 10 on that list. They do cocoa, they do cashew, they're the largest. Recently, as in largest indigenous company, because the other companies in that top 10, they were all multinationals. This is one of the largest and is an indigenous company, top 10, 2018. They said they're moving their operations to Ghana or Togo or someplace. They're tired. They're just tired. And you know how much we're going to lose by that? Multinationals are even relocating as well to neighboring countries. The multinationals that even account for the major, like you look at 100 top exporters in Nigeria, multinationals bear about 70%, if not more. And Nigeria is benefiting from that because they're repatriating the export proceeds. So FX is leaving. FDI, the pocket is going down. If you allow these things to happen, but they're happening. So what are we saying? It's like we don't know the impact of these things. That's what worries me. So someone on a platform I belong to said Guinness is relocating to Ghana. The operations is going to Ghana, and they're about to sell their property in Ikeja. And the price was really nice, like 8 billion, which is really cool because they're selling everything, they're not moving anything. And I responded on that platform. I said, as much as I feel this is an opportunity for someone to buy the property, it bleeds my heart to see that Guinness is leaving Nigeria. And as it's leaving, it's taking with it the jobs with it. It's taking the jobs with it. Of course, some of the people in that company now will lose their jobs. Will lose their jobs. Secondly, the taxes they pay to government, the repatriated proceeds and all of that, they are carrying it. Ghana is the one that's going to be getting those benefits. Are we getting this thing right? If I had to write it there, and I wrote it with my heart bleeding, truly, that this calls for concern. And because of the draconian enforcing of certain things are not even convenient for exporters, you say you must, in the middle of a transaction, you just say you must do something, CBN just puts up, oh my God, and everybody's running helter-skelter. For your information, people are cutting corners. Mcducky will say, if you want to export, you come in 20 days, we do clinical, we do a test. Somebody is wondering, man, the person that wants to buy my products is waiting for me now. There's a contract in place. There's a shipping date on this thing. You're telling me that I should wait for 20 days? How? So some of them wouldn't even go through NAFDAC anymore. That's why the cutting corners will not stop until we find a way around this thing and put the interest of the exporters first. Because the export contracts, in our export contracts, we need to honor it. It's about the buyer and the seller. The government institutions are to create an enabling environment for us to make it work. But when, instead of facilitating trade, we're impeding it. That's what I'm seeing in some of the mindsets. And I don't know, because our government institutions, perhaps it's the money they want to make, but they've totally forgotten that money is not, when we look at the damage being done, we can't even put them side by side. And again, of course, exporters will prefer exporting primarily unprocessed commodities, which even now attracts low FX revenue. We've been talking about infrastructure. We've been talking about lack of processing facilities. This is why exporting primarily unprocessed commodities seems to be even more convenient. Let me just send it. Because if I want to start processing, by the time I look at all my cost even does not become competitive anymore and all that. So there's just so much going on. And exporters are discouraged as well. People have closed shop. And we are talking about, we want to drive the export agenda. NEPC is saying everybody must export. SMEs come into this basket. See, I did a training for some women in Kano. By the time we're done, I think Bamdele was a resource. By the time Bamdele finished, Bamdele said, how many of you still want to export? Well, like less than 20% of the room raised their hands. I found that very worrisome. I'm like, oh my God. When they heard about some of the, we did risk assessment, we did a couple of things. Man, those women just said, it's like, you're going to hold your export to. Let me just be selling in my local market. And that's a fact. When all these things happen, people close shop. What are the things government have done? I'll run through this. Of course, we had the export expansion grant to support active exporters. But of course, is this even working? There was a time it was pegged down, it was discontinued, but now we're back. And there's a whole lot of backlogs that have not yet been paid. So there's a whole lot about the EEG. But I hope that once we are done with all the clearances of the backlogs, things will be back properly. Then we had NEPC had this export expansion facility program throughout last year, and they worked on 16 programs, implemented 5 work streams on capacity building, financing, market development, infrastructure, institutional strengthening. 50 billion was released for this particular project. Quite a number of exporters got monies to at least revive them because of the COVID. It was meant to be to cushion the effects of COVID-19 pandemic anyway. I was a beneficiary because I did some capacity building programs and was funded by NEPC, and that helped us to train about 120 women actually in 2 states, which was great. And right now we're even still doing mentorship and getting them to be on board this. But then let's ask ourselves too, with the EEFP, the project ended officially in January. Is there a way to measure the impact of this project? Because what is not measured cannot be managed. That's the truth. What is not measured cannot even be converted to tangible results. So my call to NEPC really is, can we do an assessment of this EEFP in this broad 5 work streams to see what impact and see how it has contributed tangibly to the export development in this country? Now, recently as well, as usual, CBN came up again, okay, we are launching RT200 FX program, and the governor says it's a set of policies, plans, and programs for non-oil exports that will enable us to attain our lofty yet attainable goal. I love that, to attain our lofty yet attainable goal of $200 billion in FX repatriation exclusively from non-oil exports over the next 3 to 5 years. That's the plan. But Let me tell you something. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. We say talk is cheap, very cheap. If we continue to talk and we do not see action, that's where the problem is. So, Mr. CBN Governor, we need to see how we are going to implement this thing. We need to see it. And who is involved. How do we get this done? Because implementation has been our greatest challenge. And of course, RT200 has like 5 pillars: non-oil commodities expansion, biannual non-oil export summit, non-oil FX rebate scheme, dedicated non-oil export terminal, and value-adding export facility. It's been broken down very beautifully into these five major areas where this RT200 will find expression. But it's beyond writing this in paper, it's beyond announcing it. What is the strategy? What is the strategy to get this done? How do we measure? How do we monitor? How do we evaluate? How do we know that we're making progress? How do we know? We need to begin to see those things. How is CBN going to engage the organized private sector so that we know that we can help you make this happen? Government will continue to make policies, but implementing, it's not their work. That's the truth. If CBN wants to keep implementing, it's an anomaly. It's an anomaly. Let me move off there because I'm getting so emotional right now. So I put here, there's still areas that are yet untapped, okay? And one is our services export. So I just want to put it out there because I don't know who's attending this, but we need to look at it. I remember last year when we did the AFAN, our AFAN next year, that's the Non-Oil Export Conference Exhibition and Awards, and we brought in Nexim, actually, he was on the panel. We talked about services export, but he said, well, there's really no framework around it yet. No MD of government would say it's taking responsibility for this and all of that. So we still need a framework. We still need to structure our services export in such a way that we can begin to earn from it. But really nothing is being said or done about it. I don't know how far we've gone with it, even maybe NEPC, I wouldn't know, but it was a challenge to us too as well that time, to see, can we put a policy brief to maybe NEPC or Nexim, but really the services export area, we are yet to tap it at all. We are currently a net importer of services. However, the potential is huge. Right now, that sector contributes more than half of Nigeria's GDP with a share of 50.79% in 2010, 52.37%, 58.2%, and 55.8% in 2013, 2015, and 2017, respectively, and a growth rate of 1.83% in 2018. I have this because we did a study, of course, when I was consulting for the Policy Development Facility, and we commissioned a report on services export. And it's in public domain. I would probably share with Talking Trade for those that want to contact that particular study that we had. But this shows that services export has a huge potential. What other areas is untapped? Of course, we have informal and unrecorded trade. We lose revenue from unrecorded trade every day. Our borders are porous. Our state government needs to wake up. They need to wake up. And then we have a lot of informal exporters that are not documented. They're not documented. And all sorts of things pass our borders. Share nuts are going, cashew is going. Oh my God, I can't even start that. There was a presentation from Trade FMITS some years back, and I could see trucks of share nuts packed, ready to just pass through a particular border. I'm like, who allows this to happen to them? Who allows this to happen to them? And our eyes are open and we're seeing the trucks going. Are we okay? Our state government, Nigerian states need to wake up. And Nigerian states will go up cap in hand. We'll go cap in hand to federal government every month to be receiving allocation. And we have our eyes open. Our export potential is just lying there in the ground. And then those that know how to pummel us are coming in and taking it away for peanuts. This is a serious matter. So if we're talking about export for survival, I said survival is a very big word. It's a very deep word. It should hit us. It means that we're sinking. We need to get above the ground. We have to get above the water. Mr. Boyede will always make reference to Obama's export initiative. And honestly, I take it everywhere I go myself, that there must be a strategy to implement our diversification agenda through export. And so I just still put this here. Okay. In 2010, Obama introduced the Obama Export Initiative, which later became the National Export Initiative, legislated under Executive Order 13534. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake somewhere there. This was created based on the understanding that for America to survive the economic recession, it needed to double its exports to the world over 5 years, so over 2010 to 2014, and through this create 5 million jobs. So I can see the metrics. I don't know whether we put metrics in the way we create our own agenda, because what cannot be measured cannot be managed. That's what it is. What cannot be measured cannot be managed. So if they say we are going to create 5 million jobs, we have put a metrics to it so we can check it out. First year, how short are we of the 5 million? Year 2, how short of you of what was left in year 1? That is what it should be. 8 cardinal objectives that this export initiative had was to increase export assistance to SMEs, to lead trade missions to promote America exports, to increase financing through its Export-Import Bank, to reduce barriers to trade and improve market access for producers, to promote federal resources currently available to assist US companies. That was very key. Increase commercial advocacy by the federal government, open new markets and enforce trade agreements. And the last was to create a framework to promote trade in services. So what is Nigeria's strategy? That's my question. That's my question right now, because we need to think different right now. Do we have a role to play? We're all here. Some of us are representing government. Some of us are individuals. We are organized private sector. We're all here. I think one of the things I would like to see us doing more, and we've been doing it. I believe in advocacy. Oh my God, I believe in advocacy. We won't stop talking until we get it done. But what kind of advocacy do we need? Evidence-based advocacy. So we need to invest in data for evidence-based advocacy. I know data is not cheap. To commission a study alone, I know how much it could be, but by His grace, we can get some support for this, but we need to invest in data so we can provide evidence when we engage with government to say, this is what it is as at yesterday. This is what is happening. Put the data, analyze in such a way that it shows the grimness of the situation. It's really key. We can't afford to just be emotional about things anymore. Then secondly, extending help with our skills and expertise. It's getting obvious that we have round pegs and square holes in many places. And I'm surprised. People that don't have any business in the ministries they are put are the ones sitting there. But of course, it's all right. But at least let's consult for some of them. I think we should. So we can help them and guide their thoughts. And then we have to keep giving feedback on performance on ongoing reforms, and then self-regulation. That's very key. Lady K, I'm sure my time is almost, let me just give me 2 more minutes. I'll be rounding this up. I put this third one saying giving feedback on the performance of ongoing reforms for a reason, and it's really key. You know, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, the EBS, that's the Enabling Business Environment Secretariat, for some years, and I did work with them a bit in terms of giving them input from my work from PDF. I know that they've actually tried to make a couple of reforms, make those reforms happen. But I keep seeing the people aspect of reforms, because as much as they want to reduce processes at the port, the moment they turn their backs, we're back to square one. As much as they want to say, do this, by the time EBS turns their back, we are back to square one, because the people are not ready to change. But here we are. EBS has given us what we call reportsgov.ng, and I think this is informative anyway. It may not apply to even what we're talking about, but it should apply to it somehow. So please take note of reportsgov.ng. As much as they are trying to create an enabling business environment, as much as EBS is saying, go to reportsgov.org and report. So there, when you go to the site, you see, file a complaint, and the other one is give feedback. You see this on the home page. File a complaint will mean, okay, this is what I hear is the new thing in NAFDAC, that when I apply for my certificate, it happens in 30 days. Then I go to NAFDAC, and 90 days I've not gotten my certificate. 1 year I'm waiting. Go to reportsgov.ng and put in what the problem is. Please, this is the situation. My certificate is still pending. 30 days is over. That is what reportgov.ng is built for. And a ticket will be generated. It gets to EBS, it gets to NAFDAC. And they follow that up to make sure that that ticket is resolved. Okay? And this is just a screen capture. But if you go to reportgov.ng, you realize that they now have the rate government agencies there. You have their top 3 for the month. You have your bottom 3. Actually, the bottom 3 for February 2020, CBN was among the bottom 3. CBN was at the bottom 3. But the top 3, interestingly, NAFDAC was there, interestingly. But I think what made NAFDAC in the top 3 was that there were only 2 complaints filed, and the 2 complaints were addressed, which means they scored 100%. Do you get it? So if only 2 people just filed a complaint, that means NAFDAC is doing well now. But if we all are filing our complaints, because we know there's a place like this, you'll be surprised at what this would also bring in telling NAFDAC that everybody is, or ABS, we won't get back to them. How come 50,000 people reported you in February? But only 2 people did, and the 2 complaints were resolved. So they got 100%. Oh, they got away with it. So this is what it looks like. Anyway, in closing, let me just wrap up by saying, export for survival is not just cliche. It is a statement of fact and should be given all the attention it deserves. Then if well understood, it connotes urgency. urgency, a one-point agenda that can drive all other agendas of the federal government. MDAs of government must synergize, must synergize to achieve this agenda seamlessly. And the last thing here I said is all hands must be on deck. There must be a solid handshake between government and the organized private sector. So on this note, I want to say thank you for listening. And sorry if I took longer than I should, but sometimes emotions just want to take the greatest part of me. All right, so thank you, Lady K. I'm done with my presentation. And thank you, everyone.
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. As usual, you have nailed it on the head again and again. As usual, thank you so very much.
A word from me before you the other the next.
Yes, a word from you before
if
a
you don't
word.
mind.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen before you come on?
We can see your screen.
Okay, I will be doing an injustice if I don't do this. Please, everyone, because I know, just like me and every other person in the team, I know we don't want to let Titi Ojo go. She is just, go to her, to know more about her, go to her webpage, titiojo.com. You can see, she said she's a professional speaker, business strategist, project leader, and professional trainer. You would agree with me that she's all those and more. And she says, I create value, add value, and drive value. I'm an enabler. We are very lucky to have you today. Thank you so very much, Titi Ojo. I yield the floor now to Olufemi Boyede.
Thank you very much. Without preempting Gagarin, Madaki, and Chimere Ojionu, I just wanted to repeat or emphasize one of or two of the things that Titi said. By the way, Titi, I join the Kemi and the team in appreciating you for this wonderful presentation. I've also seen the same remarks coming in our chat box. I appreciate that and the time that you put into it. I know how much that time it costs you to create that time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now we are talking about, I read the language, specifically I read French, but I also did all the compulsory courses in English. So I can tell you that I'm a graduate of French and English. So I want to see talking with, and talking down on. It's the same thing. The business is the same, talking. I think that if one agency is talking down on, and another agency is actually believing that there is need to talk with, and the whole world is going public-private partnership, I would believe that it is time, and maybe this is one of the, ways to achieve one of your recommendations, synergy. I think that it is time that the agency that has jurisprudential, forget me, I'm not a lawyer, where that has the supervisory oversight on non-oil export, shouldn't be actually talking to I'm a member of the trustee, so our network of practicing non-oil exporters, it is time with the two recent news extracts that you brought up, the customs protesting the introduction of policies without consulting them, the World Bank, IMF saying that we are actually paying lip service to diversification. I think as quickly as possible, if possible yesterday, NEPC and MPNEN should be calling all exporters or representatives of all exporters together, perhaps under the existing platform, the Non-Oil Export Conference Exhibition and Awards, to actually draw up all these things and bring out a conclusion that can be jointly presented to the central government. I was going to suggest a cabinet committee, as Obama did, But if you brought in a cabinet committee, you probably also be subjecting the NEPC to further reporting channels. They already have the legal backing. What Obama did simply was to say, it is now created an export committee that is chaired by myself, the president, and everybody who has anything to do. I think there are 32 members. The Secretary of State for Commerce, the Secretary of State for Finance, the Secretary of State for Agriculture, and all of those, anyone that has anything related, he brought them into that cabinet committee on export, and they met with him every month. So it was impossible for the central bank governor to be issuing out policies without hearing what the implications of those policies were likely to be on the other sectors. That's what it should be. And that's what I think, and I'll personally be recommending that to the ED of the NEPC. At the earliest, we have a think tank, a body that can work with the NEPC, probably coming from MPNN or whatever other initiatives, work with them to actually produce a memorandum to the federal government, the topmost listing, to give them, I don't know, is it extra powers or whatever? But in any case, I think that it is all about consultation. That's the point I wanted to make. I know, and I'm appealing to everybody, we may not end today's own at our normal 90 minutes. Titi has thrown up so much, and I think that we need to do justice to it, because somehow, well, you guys, you don't want to know how Titi and Mr. Boyede met and how they have engaged, but I can assure you that 110% we share this passion for change in Nigeria's non-oil export industry. And believe me, with what you have brought up to steer our discussions today, and I can dare to tell you that I know the other two guys coming, they have fire in their, is it fire in their salvo or salvo in their fires? Okay. By the time we get from them, I think that we have more than enough to actually pursue an advocacy that will get somewhere. Your effort will not be in vain. Ours will not be in vain. This discussion will not be in vain. Lady K, please. Take over.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boyede. And under the Q&A, I'm sure.
Lady K?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Frozen?
No, I'm not frozen. That should be you.
We can hear her.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's from your hand.
I think it's frozen again.
Yeah, it's Mr. Boyede's.
Okay. So as I said earlier, Madam Titi, you prepare for question and answer. So for now, we go ahead and bring in the other speaker. Let me briefly share my screen. Let's see. Who is there? Who is next? Just 1 second. I'm trying to share my screen to bring in the other speaker. Is Mr. Boyede back now? Hello?
Not yet. I think his network is bad, but that will be Mr. Ojionu.
Okay, so Mr. Boyede is still frozen. 1 second. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we come in now with Chimere Ojionu, the Managing Director of Stone Trade, the Networks Limited, which is a privately held agro-commodity trading company with a primary focus on sourcing and exportation of raw and processed agricultural products from Nigeria to any part of the globe. Chimere is a graduate of sociology and anthropology with over 15 years working experience before he ventured into the business world as an entrepreneur. He has a versatile and dynamic personality, which has manifested in his innate abilities to different spheres of enterprise, from IT, human resource management, facilities management, merchandise development, among others. He has served in leadership roles in various organizations. So we welcome Chimere Ojionu as our speaker for the next 10 minutes. Thank you so very much. Chimere, you have the floor.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening again.
Good evening.
Madam Titi Ojo, thank you so much. You've so much package that you just unleashed on us today, and you've covered, I think, some of the things I wanted to touch on. But I want to share, I'll remain on two or three things quickly. I just came back from Ghana yesterday, and I went to Burkina Faso, then I went to Ghana, and I'm back to Nigeria. And the reason, because I was looking for alternative. And I did that trip by road because I wanted to understand a few things. And the things I saw, I felt like crying. And I'm shaking my head. If we are not careful in Nigeria, we are done. Now, let me quickly just give you guys an email I got from Max Line. Max Line is charging me $750. This is the services they want to give to me. Empty pickup, positioning, stuffing, lift on, lift off, weighing, VGM, terminal handling charges, custom service charges, port charges, dressing materials, documentation for $750. That's in Ghana, Tema Port. Now I ask myself the question, why would I waste my time in Nigeria? The same product I'm getting in Nigeria, I can get it for Burkina Faso. And if I get that product, I can ship it from Burkina Faso transport it from Burkina Faso to Tema Port, and it takes about 3 days. And within 2 or 3 days, my box is on the vessel. Again, I ask the question, why do I have to waste my time here? We're Nigerians and we love this country. We want to make sure that things work. So it's difficult for me to understand what is going on. Manti, please, and I like to share my screen. I want to touch on something. Is that possible?
Yes, please go ahead.
So if everybody is looking, I have an Excel sheet which I use to do my pricing. If you notice, just look at the most important thing. I want you to look at the rates here, which is 480. This is what CBN is promising exporters now, right? And I want you to go and look at the ROI. Please hang on to that. Then this is the current rate we are getting from IIE window. I want you to please go down and look at the ROI. Notice that everything is the same. Then look at the black market rate, and then look at the ROI. Do you need me to run through this again? I can take it slowly so everybody can understand it.
Yes, please do that. Okay.
So this is the black market rate. If you notice, I'm using hibiscus flower as an example. This is my selling price, 2,200. This is the CBN. This is the black market rate, 570. This is what I will end up making, 13.95%. You know, maybe if I pay all the other loans I've taken, I probably end up like 9% as interest as my profit. This is the current I&E window rate. Notice this price is 2,200. And the exchange rate is 14.15. And look at the ROI, minus 16%. Now let's go back to the extra 65 that CBN is promising us. Still the same price. And if you look here, it's 480, 415 plus 65. And that's after 90 days. Minus 9.6%. How can we survive in this kind of environment? how can we survive? It doesn't make sense. So for now, I'm sorry to say, I'm done with trying to do things from Nigeria because I can't survive that way. So it's either we find another way to do things or Nigerian export business is dead, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of us share the same opinion. So it's really a sad thing. So, I'll leave that and just quickly jump to what Madam Titi mentioned, the Eef program. Now, a lot of us applied for this. The people that got, some of them got 2 million naira, 5 million naira, and some got 1 million naira. Please, I ask this question. How can this help us expand in the export business? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, we noticed that some people got 10, some people got 20 million. If you don't want to give money for expansion, don't give. Don't share 1 million to somebody. How will that help somebody? Let's say somebody like me, you give me 2 million. How would that help me expand my business? So that 50 billion, I'm sorry to say, was we just shared money and told people, just use it to do something, maybe buy Christmas gift or buy something for your family. It doesn't in any way help us. So I'm speaking from experience. Last year, I approached the bank for a facility. It took the bank 4 months to approve the facility. By the time they approved the facility, the price of product I was buying for 450 has gone to 750. Until date, they are still calling me, do I still want the loan? I have never answered them. I just kept quiet. I don't reply to their emails because it doesn't make sense. So the issues we have, CBN is our #1 issue in this country when it comes to export business. I think I've mentioned this sometimes that CBN should not be in the process of lending money to exporters. CBN should be able to insure the money and give the commercial banks the free hand to be able to do this lending. Because I'm sure if the banks know that their money is insured, it's easy for them to lend to people so that they can do their business. So CBN, with all the kind of policies they've created this year alone, from December, I think it's August last year to date, it has killed my morale in doing business in Nigeria. I remember when one of the containers were leaving, 5 of them actually, when we went to submit our invoice, they came back and said no, that my invoice must be at a certain amount before it is approved. And I show you that I have a contract. Should I go and manipulate the figures in the contract? And tomorrow CBN will not ask me, where is my export proceeds that I don't have? You can't tell me to cap something at a particular price when I already have a contract. When I get paid, and if fall short of that, tomorrow the same CBN will come and tell me I've diverted the export proceeds. It doesn't make sense. So how do we solve this issue? Speaking from experience again, one of the challenges we have is the people who do business. We have a lot of crooked people in this our business. People who will take money from you and will never do what they promise to do, even when you have a signed contract for them with them. So one of the issues we really need to address is to find a system, a court system that quickly addresses these issues. So that if I have a dispute with Mr. Boyede, it's easy for me to go there and they will call out within a month or that, those issues are sorted out as long as the facts are on ground. Not go to a court system where it takes me 10 years to be able to solve those issues. So that's a big challenge for us. Now, let me talk about Nigerian Export Promotional Council. I'm glad that Madam Titi just mentioned some because coming to this meeting today, I had all intents and purposes of blasting them from, I don't know the word to use. But now we have a new leadership. So I think we'll give them time to see what they can do. But NNPC, to me, has failed us in every way. If you are promoting trade, promote trade. Because I haven't seen any program they've done that benefits us as exporters. I know I had complained on our platform that they come up with a program, 2 days to a program, one day they put it on, you know, they bring out a communique that we're having a program in Bauchi, you know, those that can attend. It doesn't make sense. How can you bring out a program if you want people to attend and you're giving people 24, 48 hours notice? It doesn't make sense. And I believe somebody responded, I think it was Lady K, that said she spoke to somebody about it and they, you know, they took note of that, if I'm correct. Lady K, am I correct? Not you.
There was Mrs. Lola.
Okay, Mrs. Lola, yes.
Yes.
So, and then back to customs. And now when I relate to customs, I relate them to civil servants. In a country where civil servants are richer than businessmen, we will never grow. We will never grow. Because you earn salary and I do business. So, you know, if you follow the law of nature, I should have more money, you know, than you do. But custom officers, look at the best buildings in Nigeria today owned by custom officers. Where are they getting that money from? So these are issues that we must address. Because if we don't, we're not moving forward. It's, oof. I don't even know where to begin. You know, I was coming to this meeting and saying I won't get upset, I won't get angry. So I'll just try and point out some of the issues I've had in this my export business. And it's been so many that I don't even know where to come from. So I'm just going to leave it like this.
No, you have 4 more minutes, please.
Okay, so I have 4 more minutes. So lastly, the people's factor. It's very important. We need to find a way to make sure that everybody is accountable to their actions. If I approach you as my shipping agent and you do something that is wrong, I should have a way without having to go to police that will tell me, come today, come tomorrow. I should have a way to sanction you. If you are the local market seller that I buy something from and you give me wrong product, I should have a way to either recover my money or make sure you never do that kind of, you know, you are out of business entirely. Because if we begin to hold people accountable to their actions, I think things will greatly improve. Lastly, going through the roads, all the border roads, wonderful, Burkina Faso, Ghana. But when I got into Nigeria, right, from Seme border to Maitu, it took me the same amount of time I took from Lome to Seme. So how can we move goods across? I don't understand. I really don't understand. So I'll leave it there, and hopefully in the open discussion we can discuss some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, I can imagine the frustrations, just like all of us were imagining it. And thanks for sharing, and thanks for sharing your experiences. Okay, you can stop sharing from your end now.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Boyede, are you there? It keeps going in and out.
Coming out, yes.
I keep being kicked out, but don't worry. I will. The more they kick me out, the more I come back in. I'm here.
Okay, you want to comment before we go to the next?
Yes, I want to also thank Chimere. The truth is, to convince or to sway the position of lawmakers, they're always asking for evidence. And I think that you have given evidential justification for a change in the dynamics of how export is made. I mean, it's done out of Nigeria. And of course, whatever it is that is being produced as the outcome of this meeting, the slides, especially the calculations and analysis that you have provided, they are wonderful. The experience you have provided, they are also wonderful. But please, don't join. They used to say brain drain when people were going. Now, when companies are moving, what do we call it? Company drain? Please don't join the company drain. Let's see how the MDAs, especially the lead agency, responds to these challenges. I don't know in the near future, but I'm very sure that things are set to change. Thank you again, Chimere.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much. We now go to our next speaker. Pardon me, the pronunciation is Mr. Gagarin Madaki. He's a multilingual economics graduate with 3 decades of experience as an exporter and farmer of precious metals and agricultural commodities. He exports his goods to 11 countries on 4 continents. His exports include tin, tantalite, copper, and zirconium silicate. Agro commodities such as ginger, turmeric, hibiscus flower, zobo, cashew nuts, sesame seeds, shea nut butter. Mr. Madaki is an enterprising enthusiast who is passionate about developing and promoting value addition in export trade. As a reformist, Mr. Madaki is dedicated to researching and implementing long-term agricultural solutions in a diverse, inclusive, multicultural industry setting. I believe we all know Mr. Madaki. He has been very active on the platform, giving us solutions to many queries. I hereby give the floor and thank you for accepting to be one of us today.
Thank you very much, Lady K, for that wonderful introduction. Greetings, everyone. Sorry, how much time do I have to talk?
10 minutes.
You know I talk a lot. You have to put a cap. So let's keep talking. Okay. Now, I must commend. I feel a bit. I have mixed feelings. I feel a bit cheated because Titi Ojo just said everything. 90% of what I had to say, she just brought it out. And I was like, oh my God, next time I should be the first one to speak. I couldn't put it better than the way she did. So I commend her. She has captured most of what has to be said. Chimere also has cheated me. He has also spoken a lot about what I've had to say. But on that note, I must put this, I would try and let me not discuss the problems. Let me see how we can discuss more solutions. If I discuss the problems, we'll talk for another 1 month and non-stop. Now, first, part of the issues you mentioned in the analysis about 95% of oil. I think that is where the problem is. We're still in a comfort zone. Government still has this comfort of getting income from oil. Now, what has happened in the rest of Africa is that these people do not have oil. So they have been forced to develop their non-oil sector, tourism, to attract forex. We have not needed that. First, what has been our problem, and it's a bit political to make this statement, is that the fact that we sit down and just share money at the end of every month, makes a lot of those people, especially those people they call governors, very lazy. This problem cannot be solved only by the federal government. States have jurisdiction over products, the natural resources are there. What are their various ministries of trade and ministries of businesses doing towards development of the local sector? I am in Kaduna, I'm always going to the Ministry of Trade, and I've become a madman. I go, I speak, I shout, I rant, I read a speech. I say, look at the amount of commodities we have here, both solid minerals and agri. You have some of us resource people. I'm not even asking for money. I'm a consultant, I'm not asking you for money. Let us organize the sector. Now, they're not interested. They have nothing to lose. At the end of the month, their salary is going to come because federal government is going to pay. So until we get to that point where oil is no longer sustaining us, frankly speaking, these things are just going to be rhetorics from government. Now, back to issues on ground. I can assure you that what Chimere mentioned, for instance, I will not try to overflow the issue. I posted the equivalent of sesame seed the other day. If you use what government is giving you, you are running at a loss. You are not even breaking even. You are running at a loss. Now, unfortunately, as an advocate for this export, I have been working hard trying to get a lot of young people I know to become exporters, one. Two, a lot of those in the informal sector, I've been trying to get them to formalize. But life is easy when they do it the unconventional way. The man takes a trailer load of onions from Sokoto and goes to, for say, 5 million naira, and he goes to drop it at the border in Cotonou, and the man gives him cash, CFA, 7 million naira. He has made 2 million naira. The system does not capture this. So, in agreement with what Titi said earlier on, there's a lot of trade going on through our borders that is not being captured. Now, the ginger market, which I am the spokesperson for the Ginger Association, hopefully be their president in the future. Now, ginger is a $3.4 billion business a year. Nigeria is number 3 in the whole world producer of ginger. We produce 523,000 metric tons of ginger. We only export in that $3.4 billion. Our mark in the international market is $10 million. I'm not the one saying it. CBN has the Office of Statistics has recorded 10 million out of $3.4 billion. That is what we export, or what has been captured. I can tell you stories of people that I have met along the way who will tell me, last year alone, with 120 million naira, they bought 4 trucks. That's what it cost them to move 4 trucks by road for ginger from Kaduna all the way to Togo, sold some, ended up in Sudan, sold it. Now that cash did not come through your banking system. That cash did not come through your banking system. That is money that they held in cash. That you can call it money laundering, or they kept it in under their sewages or wherever it is. That is the problem. So when you come up with this your evaluation and you make the process harder, you scare away more people. People are talking about wanting to do business in Nigeria. Mine is far more than that. I have given myself just this year and next year. I am already to apply for a second citizenship. I am going to go and farm in Sierra Leone, Rwanda, or Namibia. It makes sense. I'm serious. I've given myself I've put over 50 years of my life in this country. You don't do. I'm done. I have talked, I have read it. You will want to make policy, you will not talk to stakeholders. And the arrogance of CBN during the Anchor Brothers program, I was one of those who participated 6 years ago. I wrote a paper and I told them this is going to fail. I don't want to go into the details of why it's going to fail. I'll take our time today. But at the end of the day, CBN just listened to me, nodded their head. I said, okay. And then told us what they wanted to tell us. Exactly what Titi was saying. That's the attitude of CBN. They make up their mind. They come and they tell you. They don't listen. They talk to you and they tell you to go. So now, if you won't listen to boots on the ground about the problem, is it what they taught you in Harvard that you're going to come and teach me, copy and paste? It's not going to work. Moving beans from Potiskum all the way to Lagos, the process down, what they have to do, what you call clear the road. You have to pay certain fees. You have to handle levies on the road. These are not things they put in your business plan. So you come up with, oh, this is your cost. Now, let me tell you the thing about the rejection. We talked about Madaki and Son. Someone mentioned Madaki and Son. Now, 75%, DG of Nigeria says 75% of our goods are rejected. And let me ask you something. Why were they rejected? Pesticide levels were high in the bins that were sent, so they were rejected. In a lot of the other products, the aflatoxin and oflatoxin AFP1, that's aflatoxin B1, and oflatoxin AB2 are high. The standards for the EU is 50 milligrams per kilogram for AFB, 50 milligrams per kilogram for OTA. Which laboratory is going to give me the analysis to tell me that the ginger and carrying has AFB1 exceeding EU limits or OTA2 exceeding EU limits? Which lab? Which lab? Now, how some of us have been able to do it is that we have to control the entire value chain from the farming to the farm gate to post-harvest handling to washing to processing to export. You, as an individual, must control the entire value chain. You want to sleep in peace. And while doing that, you have to carry high blood pressure drugs in your pocket for Smarties, because dealing with Nigerians from that farmer, from that one, is a chunk of change. Everybody wants to steal from you or wants to cheat you. The farmer is either going to mix dried and fresh goods and then put it for you. If you do not do a double check in the country now, before it gets there, molds that are affected the rest. And then once mold affects the rest, that is you are affected. So you see, it's a headache. Financing agriculture. So as a result of that, you find that, like he has said, there's a sensitivity to the time. You give a contract, now you want to apply for a facility. I was speaking to the bank some days ago. I said, I need about $500 million. I'll do ginger. They said, okay, give us your contract. I said, no. They said, I will come to the contract. I said, because you take 2 months, the guy will be very angry, he'll be upset, the price will have probably changed. At the end of the day, if I collect the money, I may lose the money, I may not lose the money, I may divert, I may not divert. No, I will give you a letter of intent from my buyer. You will process my credit at the point of drawdown, put it as a condition precedent to drawdown, that I bring my credit. So if at that point in time, the prices have changed internationally, the prices have changed locally, I will have to redo my recalculation and give you new economics of production. Now, if you do that, they'll say we have to go back and rework the credit. So it's first, we need our bankers to understand how to fund export, especially agri. There's not enough time for me, so I'm not even going to start touching on the experience on solid minerals. I'm just sticking to agri, and I'm just sticking to one product. So if most times the banks just say, okay, he has done it 10 times, he's good at it, give us collateral, and then they go to sleep. But you can have all this knowledge. If you cannot, you can explain to them from morning to night. The guy in Lagos is just listening to you, head of credit. He has a checklist. If you don't meet the checklist, he doesn't approve. He left him, he goes to MD, he goes to MCC, Management Credit Committee. No, we don't understand. It's very risky. We have our hands blocked. They decline you. Then the CBN will come up with intervention funds that you can never access. They'll give intervention funds you can never access. Oh, we have 300 billion, 9 trillion. Come and access it. The banks will now say, at our own risk. They will now say, okay, you banks, you're taking this money at your own risk. You don't pay back, we debit you. The bank will tell you, the CBN will debit us. So, okay, get collateral. Oh, okay, I'll bring collateral. Oh, no, we're going to sell you. We don't like selling houses. We don't need your house. We only want extra comfort. You hear all sorts of stories. Bring your spine, bring your teeth, bring your cord. Oh, you have this. Oh, bring this. They must give you condition that they must kill your credit. The frustration is too much. Now we're looking at AFTA. I am feeling sorry for Nigeria with AFTA. We are going to be a dumping ground for a lot of other countries who have organized their sector. We are going to be a dumping ground. We are supposed 200 million. I know we're no more than 110. Politics says that we're 200 million. Fine. We are a dumping ground for most African countries. Everybody is eyeing Nigeria. And we're sitting around waiting. We have suspended AFTA by 1 year. And I keep asking them, on this committee of AFTA you have, how many of you have exported granite or sold tomato? How many of you understand that in one part of West Africa, when tomato season has a glut here, there is scarcity here. So when there's a glut here, there's scarcity here. Do you know you can leverage on that and move? Now, logistics, how do you move the goods? Oh, you can transport. Which truck are you going to transport? And you can use ship. You put it in container. We are not discussing maritime logistics around West Africa. Nobody's talking about that. and you're talking about after. You have to use mask line. You wait 2 weeks for the booking. The container will go to Morocco. It will miss the other ship. Then from Morocco, it will not come back to Ghana. The guy in Ghana has been waiting. The thing in Nigeria is 6 weeks. That is the cheapest and safest way. So the fastest way is to go by road. Now going by road, God help him. Something happens to that truck on the road. What do? You're in Nigeria, you're in Kaduna, you're in Ogun, you're in Enugu. Your truck is between Ghana and Lome. What do you do if there's a problem? Is there a body that you can report to that has captured this transaction, that good in transit has immunity not to be harassed along the way? A police officer went for wrong parking. Nigerian Shippers Council can tell you this story because they had to intervene. For 3 months, he went and seized in Lagos. This happened 2 years ago. He seized more than 15 containers because they parked wrongly. The owners of the goods said, okay, finish the driver, give us our goods. The commissioner of police refused. 3 months. This is on record. They have to contact the minister, contact the presidency, contact the IG for that commissioner of police is still going to be promoted. He has not suffered any consequences. Nothing has happened to him. People can just wake up and one customs officer will just look at you and tell you what you want. Back to customs and CBN. It was the customs that had to tell CBN that this thing you're doing is in conflict with World Trade Organization. How incompetent is our central bank? They don't even know the WTO agreement anymore. That what the policies they're doing is in conflict. What we need is what other governments have done, where you bring a coordinating minister, someone that coordinates monetary and fiscal. You align monetary. Monetary has become so much of lions now that they are jumping into fiscal policies. These are part of the problem. So the issues are multidimensional. Where do you want to stop it from? You don't have lab, I cannot test. You are angry that it is being rejected. Give me money, you will give me condition, I cannot meet. You wake up, you now increase the protocol and bureaucracy of me clearing the port. I cannot get my goods out of the port. The charges are high, and we're all selling to the same market. We are all exporting to the same market. And then you are monitoring my dollar. Why, if I go and ship in all those countries, what I do with my dollar, they don't care. You are demanding if you don't get dollar within 6 months, you will write me a letter, we will blacklist you. What? I said, nonsense. I wrote them, you are very stupid. Do you know that my goods were seized? They don't care where you got the money from. Now imagine if it was bank money. Although I don't want to hear, you send those their friends in suits and come and throw lawyers and start threatening you. So there are just too many issues. And for me, way forward, we have to address all our costs of doing business, ease of doing business. We need to resolve these issues. This e-invoicing, e-evaluator is the biggest headache. What Chimere has mentioned, you have a contract. Now, they might say, okay, we might penalize you and charge you X because like in shea butter, I'll use an example, the full fatty acid level is far below what we think. Okay, for that, we're not paying a premium. We're going to discount it. Now I've given an invoice. You are telling me now that you have pegged the price. Whoever this your guy is that you are trying to arrange money for, that is going to be analyzing the product for CBN. He's sitting down somewhere and looking at, I do not know what way they are going to get their all prices for. They'll peg your price for you and say, this is the price you need. If you know the price, CBN, we got the money and go and export now. Why are you telling us? You know the price, you know the market, go and sell it. Why are you telling somebody to tell me that this is the price you should get for this product? Do you know that there are charges and there are discounts and there are penalties if yours has IE, maybe some form of lead, IE, some form of aflatoxin? Nigerian ginger and Indian ginger have a difference in $400. That is the difference in price, $400. Why? Because of our post-harvest handling. So our quality technically is higher, but our post-harvest handling is very poor. So you find out that when you take it to Europe, they would tell you ginger of Nigeria origin. And I told them, no, this is international price. They said, why? Yours has this, has that, has chicken shit, has this one, has whatever, cat tire, somebody's from C++, math, everything that is in it. No, we need to take it into account. We call it reconditioning.
Okay, you have 1 more minute to round up. Thank you.
Yeah, they will take it through a process called reconditioning, steam sterilization. That process costs about 350 euros per ton. Now, what they do is that they defer that cost on ginger of Nigerian origin. So if this organization decides to go and access Bloomberg or check the international price for ginger, and you are getting a discount from that price, they query you that is below 2.5%. These people making these policies, I don't know if they bring them from the moon. I honestly don't know. Because they are not talking to us. They don't understand the dynamics. If I'm exporting lead or zinc, the price you pay me for lead of 40% content or 80% content is different. If your lab here analyzes at 35, international lab analyzes at 15, I don't get the same price. It's included in it, but you are going to query me because it is below your shortfall. It is crazy. It may even work for importers because standard prices of manufactured goods is what we import, no raw materials. So it may even work that, okay, the price of the car cannot be more than this. The price of bringing Maggi from this country cannot be more than this. You might work, but for exports, especially when we're not really adding value, in quotes, it is very difficult for you to peg a price. And there are fluctuations. Is your evaluator going to be matching the fluctuation and know that the price in Qatar is different from the price in the market in Dubai? Is different from the market in Sudan? Is different from the market in which one is it going to use?
Okay, we are going to bring you in again during the Q&A session. And I know Mr. Boyede will share my views that we really need to bring you back for a full session. You have opened our eyes to so many things. Thank you so very much. You really deserve a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Mr. Boyede, are you there? I can see that you keep going in and out.
I am still, and I want to thank Mr. Madaki so much. The energy, the passion is effusive, and the points you have made, this again underscores the points that we have always, everyone on the Talking Trade group has been hammering on the need for consultation. You don't shave a man's head in his absence. And like you said, Mr. Madaki, I don't know whether it is it will ever be effective for policies to be formulated from the textbooks coming from Harvard. These days, there is the imperative of customizing, localizing even the best practices that you get from other parts of the world. Because the environment in Nigeria is not the same as the environment in Ghana. At the end of the day, with globalization, we are all going into the same market. AFCFTA is the same concept. At the end of the day, we are talking of one single African market. Of course, one single African market when you are selling. But the buyer obviously will always look for the best opportunity. And the best opportunity comprises where the quality is highest and the price is lowest. How do you ensure competitiveness faced with all the myriad of headaches, challenges, and problems that Mr. Madaki has enumerated? Thanks so much, and I hope that we continue this discussion in the Q&A.
Okay, so we go into the Q&A session. If you have a question, please, as usual, use the emoji to signify by raising up your hand. You can do it physically or use the emoji. Meanwhile, or you can type in the chat forum. If you have a comment, you may have a comment, you are free to comment, or you have questions. This session will be like 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, do I see any hand up? Anyone wants to make a comment? Or we are all satisfied because they really did a good job. Okay. Mr. Chairman, Ibrahim Aruna, please, you have the floor. Unmute yourself. I can see your hand up. Ibrahim Aruna, you are the first to go.
Sorry about that. So I wanted to, I don't know, it's well overwhelming. I wanted to thank all the speakers and listening to all of you, keep reiterating the experiences we all have been going through for so many years. And I want to ask all of us on this forum, I know some of us have the power to influence policies. I know some of us are also part of the people that can also help us to change things. But what are we waiting for? because as a businessman, we want to do business. We want to create opportunity for people. So it's a win-win. It's not just because I want to sell something to make money. The person that needed those services also need those stuff. So why are we making life difficult for ourselves? I mean, to be able to call, whenever we're going to Nigeria, every border we get to, things go so easy. But once we get home to Nigeria, then you get to our international airport, you are sweating. Wi-Fi is not working. Washroom is stinking. If it rains, the roof is leaking. So who are those people that are leading those? The manager of that airport himself, and he's there seeing it. So all of us have a role to play. So we keep talking about the president or the governors and everything. So all of us, right? And I know, and I'm sorry to say, sometimes people will say, "Oh, we ran away." We didn't run away. I mean, look at this forum right now. We're all doing this, right? I know it's tough to stay in Nigeria, but we came here for opportunity. I can give two examples. I'm not going to stay too long. The first one was myself and my alumni, University of Ilorin. We work to broker a collaboration between University of Alabama and University of Ilorin. It took us 2 years to get that done. Eventually, when we got it done for the STEM, science, engineering, mathematics, what it means is that there can be exchange between the student between Canada and US or the university that are involved in that program. And also lecturer can exchange. So we brought all the leadership on University of Ilorin in 2015 to do a handshake, sign and everything. But do you know that they could not run with it? They couldn't even implement it, right? And I can keep going on different examples like that.
One more minute.
Okay, so I think with this one, what can we do? What can we do to change things? Because it just keep going.
Yeah.
Right? We have optimized all the problems, right? And this is keep going every day. The same thing we keep talking about every day. So I think as a group, we need to all come out together and do something drastic that we need to do. If we need to start pushing out press releases, engaging the government, different government agencies, I think we need to do that. And it's going to take all of us to be able to chip in to make that work. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, you're right. Those of us that are here, we didn't run away. Otherwise, we won't be looking back at what we can do and how to effect changes. The next person is Bukola Lawa. Please unmute yourself, sir. You have 1 minute. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I've listened to all the speakers with keen interest. Right from the first presenter and then the last person as well as the moderator. Unfortunately, we find ourselves where we are today. Most of the whole team boiled down to ease of doing business in this country. At the time, I happened to be privileged to know a little about what the government has put together to ensure that business are done in a seamless manner and for all the practitioners to achieve within the time frame. But unfortunately, most of those things are not working. I could remember a time when Nigerian Shippers Council, there was an office domiciled in the vice president's office, especially on the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
About 20 more seconds, sir.
Okay, but having said that, all this has not worked. Also, regarding the high rate of things, honestly, it is an international thing of which, before we can get it right, most of the factors attached and associated with shipping line and logistics has to be looked into with critical and holistic approach. Otherwise, I say it again, because I happen to be within the system and I understand most of the things that are here. Those factors, lot of factors have to be looked into and try as much as possible to overhaul the system. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for trying to keep the time. We understand what you have said. Omolara Akonji, yeah, the next time.
Thank you, Lady K.
Thank you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. My situation is just to bring out two issues. I want to find out how we can help the policymakers who, without contextual experience, make decisions and they spread those decisions to unsuspecting others, unsuspecting exporters. I think, in this kind of situation, which we are doing now, we should be inviting the policymakers themselves to come and listen in and hear, because that is when they will know where shoes are pinching. But then none of them is here. The second one is that most of the issues that are dragging the country back have been, enunciated, but having said that, there are no consequences for those who have, this culprit, no consequences. And even with the ease of doing business, those who miss the steps, no consequences. In Nigeria, when you do anything bad, there's no consequence. Everybody just go on and be doing whatever they like to do. I think we need the policymakers to be part of this discussion so that they can hear from those who do the business.
Time up,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much, ma'am. The next person, I see the hand up. After you finish speaking.
Do you mind if I I just interject because Dr. Omolara Akonji has made also some very extremely cogent.
Do I ask
yes.
that the other speaker do now round everything up?
No, I don't want to round up. I want to respond to a question that Dr. Akonji has asked. How do we ensure that the people who are supposed to hear these things, how do we ensure that I think that's the point she was trying to make. And thank you, Dr. Akonjima. The best way, I think, would be for the NPLEN, just like, and thank you because you are a member of the Board of Trustees of NPLEN. Hey, I've been kicked out.
No, you're not kicked out. You're still in.
Yeah, because I can't see anything. Can you guys hear me?
Clearly.
Yes, please go on.
Okay. So for MPLEN and NEPC to cause a national conference to hold ASAP that will involve all the other agencies that have been talking about this thing. What did they do under the Obasanjo administration when late Chief Ufot Ekaite was SGF, and I was privileged to be the consultant that coordinated that? There was an interministerial, that was before the Presidential Review Committee on Waivers, Concessions, and Incentives. And I think that was about the time that you were still active at the Central Bank of Nigeria. I think that interministerial committee, I remember very well that I was one of those who separated a fight from a serving minister then and the representative of the Nigeria Customs Service, who was at that time just an ACG. I remember the issue they were talking about was the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. And when the Minister of Industries, at that time it wasn't combined, Ambassador, was it Magaji Mohammed? Yes, he was the Minister of Industries. When he explained what the ETLS was all about and what benefits it was to bring to Nigeria, the lady representing the Controller General of Customs stood up and said, I don't care what Minister of Finance or anybody says, I will not have, and I had to stand up and say, what is I? You are a subset of the whole. We are here to create, we as Nigeria, what will benefit Nigeria. So the only way we can get that done, ma, is to have them, like you said, in a hall and everybody represented. And the only way to get this done as quickly as possible is for MPN and his board of trustees probably to pay another visit or something, Zoom with NEPC, and let's see if we can bring everybody together. Because like Titi just said in her presentation, it is a shame. It's an international shame when foreign international media can be reporting that there is no agreement between the central bank, the customs, and this agency and that agency. It's a shame. We need to quickly put our house in order. If not, we continue to remain a laughing stock in the face of the export and import world, which is international trade. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyede. 1 minute for Emo Olumide. Please, if your camera is working, you can switch on your camera and your audio as well, you're mute.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Lady K. I think we've taken so much time to highlight a lot of problems, and I think that going forward, we should also dedicate pretty much as much energy to the solutions. And I think if I were to caption all of the solutions that have come to mind, some of the things that I've seen working in some other aspects of the Nigerian economy, I think I would caption everything under the word collaboration. And collaboration is also most effective when there is communication. And the goal is to achieve a sort of a level of consensus in order to be able to move the hand of government to work for the actors, especially private sector actors in the Nigerian economy space. I think also that bringing, of course, by all means, we should bring policymakers to the room. We should also attempt to take seats at the table in the existing rooms where these conversations are holding, because really, you bring a policymaker to your meeting, they tell you a lot of things. And I've seen these things play over and over and over again. I work as Deputy Director General of NASI, that's Nigerian Association of Small Scale Industrialists. I know that we have a seat at many of the tables that I'm still surprised many times when I go into some of those meetings to find out the things that have been done without private sector at the table. But notwithstanding, it's not magic. It requires a level of consistency and commitment. All of these conversations that we're having need to be collated. They need to be communicated. We need to collaborate ourselves, and then we need to present a strong voice, because the truth of the matter is a lot of people in government are clueless, but they also would move under a compelling hand of the private sector. I'll just wrap it up like that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so very much for keeping to the time. We have Femi Odere next. Femi Odere, the Special Assistant on Diaspora Affairs to Ekiti State Governor. You're welcome. Please put on your camera and you're mute. Unmute yourself. Thanks.
Okay, Lady K, thanks for taking me. Let me quickly apologize for joining the meeting relatively late, and I think it was your fault because I just saw the invite about maybe 30 minutes ago. I don't know when you sent it, but it must not have been more than 30 or 40 minutes ago now.
That was a reminder.
Okay, but anyway, it is this kind of meeting that, at least one of them, that I'm very much like to be involved in. That I'll just take a different take on what I have had so far in the last 15, 20 minutes that I've joined this meeting. And that take, I'm going to suggest that is going to be very radical. I'm in government, at least in a very small corner of Nigeria, in Ekiti. And I've seen quite a lot, not from the state, but I've interacted at the federal level in terms of how government thinks and all of that. And unfortunately, I have come to that conclusion that, you see, at some point, you guys out there outside Nigeria, as much as government is important to get things done, and government can actually move a mountain if it decides to move a mountain. But I want to suggest a radical approach, and that is that forget about government. If you keep saying that you want the policymakers to come to this kind of engagement, yes, it's a good thing. But the fact of the matter is that we have a very weak economic structure, and we have very uneducated. We have a very. Hello? Can I go on?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. We have a very relatively undedicated, insincere, and careless and lackadaisical set of your so-called policymakers. So to me, it was just going to be a waste of time trying to get your policymakers to be a part of this meeting. Now, that to me can sound radical. But like I said, I've been in the Nigerian governmental system to know that if we really want to get things done, especially on these import-export kind of engagement, I've never met Mr. Boyede, but we've talked a few times, and I know that he knows his onion. I know Lady K, we have met a few times. She came to Nigeria and all of that. She knows her onion too. And quite a few people at this meeting that I believe knows their onion. I think what we need to start articulating and engaging is to begin to find like minds who can drive certain economic process, most especially from the private sector. If we can get a handful of the so-called policymakers in terms of what we really want to achieve, then it's all well and good. And that is not to say that we don't have some dedicated people out there who are in government, but it is going to be, in my own view, relatively dragging and counterproductive and time wasting if we try to apply a net to all the government, or at least most of the government policymakers, that it is only when they come that we can begin to get this done. They are never going to come.
No, that's not what we said.
Thank you so very much.
That's just my contribution so far.
Thank you. We truly appreciate. The summary is ensure that you do your thing. Stop waiting for government. Thank you. Okay.
Can I quickly chip in something?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, before the other guy. Yeah. So yeah, I was listening to Mr. Femi, and sorry, the guy that just from Ekiti that just finished talking. I wanted to correct two things. Number one, those of you in abroad, we are all in Nigeria, okay? We're Nigerian first. And this forum comprises a lot of people, and we're focusing on the trade, the Nigerian, and how do we work together to get things in and out. Okay. And the second thing about private driven, we still need the government too. We still need the policy. If the policies are not there, I mean, we look at the bureaucracy people have been going through. A policeman stops you, delay your product for 32 days. Most of the product might have get spoiled or the money has been tied down. We still need the government. So we have to be able to create that enabling environment. Ease of doing business is that you go in to get a paper, you get it so quickly. Sometimes some people will sit on the paper, will not ever sign, will be there. How can you spend 3 months? Myself and Mr. Femi and all of us A lot of time we want to register a company in Nigeria. It takes so long to get done. Here in Canada, in 2 hours, we will register a company in 2 hours. Under 2 hours, it's even too long. So the government, we need the government. We need everyone. Private driven cannot be successful if the government is not able to provide their own part too. It's a win-win. Go ahead, Mr. Femi.
Mr. Ibrahim, it's not just need. We don't have to plead to need. I actually put the response to that already in the chat box, but for the benefit of Mr. Odere, who is still around, who I thank very much for attending at short notice, for international trade, there is no way, no matter how strong the private sector drive is, you cannot do international trade without government. You cannot take anything out of Nigeria without Nigeria Customs Service, without a certificate of registration as an exporter from Nigeria Export Promotion Council, without opening a Form NXP at the Central Bank of Nigeria, without Cobalt or one of those other pre-shipment inspection agents. All these are government. So we appreciate your suggestion, but the only way to get it to work is to get them in the room so that they can listen to the practitioners and understand where these things are misfits or they are negative, achieving negative results opposed to what their intentions are. So for international trade, once again, you need government, and we cannot, even though we cry and cry and cry about their ineptitude, they are there. So this cry is going to continue until the ineptitude is corrected, so that the regulatory environment and the conducive framework can be provided. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Please, I see Mary Kimsa. Please, you have the floor in your...
Hello, I'm still on.
Yes, I'll call you afterwards, after her.
All right.
Looks like your internet is a bit unstable. I believe it's stable now. So let's see if Madam Mary Kimsa is there. She has her hand up. Are you there? Okay, Adelemi, okay, you can have the floor while we wait for
Lady K, quick one for Mr. Adelemi. In order to get your voice out, you can shut down your video because it looks like your bandwidth is competing with your voice. So that would make your voice able to go and not cut off.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Good evening once again, everyone.
Good evening.
My own take on this is that I said earlier there's one government policy, I think that there was drafted last year or year before that, one state, one product, for us to be able to get more commodity to hand our forest. Now, that's a very good one. Each geopolitical zones have different topological soil and whatever to get these crops out. And if you can remember, some few days ago, there's a names platform that we did a forum like that at Abeokuta, where the president of Nigerian Tractor Association said that they have only 5,000 tractors in the whole of this country that have over 200 million people as a population, where we can have a commercial farmer, one single farmer that can make use of 500 tractors at once. That is on tractors. But let's go to about land clearing. My own take is this: if government want to help us on these export things, really, and they are very serious about it, let's go back to the basic.
Thank you so much. Your contribution is very much appreciated. Thank you, and we would have loved to hear it all.
You're welcome, ma. Thank you, ma.
It's a different dimension. Thank you. Okay, so finally, thank you so much. We have taken extra minutes, not many, 11:30 to 1. That has always been the case, right? So 9 minutes passed. We didn't start on time either, though. We were like 9 minutes after. So, Mr. Boyede, are you there to say something for us to round off? Today has been
yes, I'm here. I'm here very much to say thank you. Thank you to everybody. Hey, Did you give our lead speakers 1 minute to round up one? I think we should, if they are still there, because people have talked back on the things that they said. I think they also have the right. Is it right to respond or right of reply?
Right of rounding up.
Right of rounding up.
So we put this
and right to reply too.
Okay, so we go with Madam Titi Ojo first.
Okay, I'll be very short. There's been a whole lot of contributions, and we're all right. That's the truth. Everybody has said one thing or another, and I really want to talk, particularly even the two other, my brothers that, I've forgotten their names now, but they did their presentation right after mine. They provided evidence, which is really solid to engage policymakers, truly. When we're looking at how profitable is it to work with CBN's exchanges and work with black markets, the evidence is there and it's staggering actually. So I really want us to take this from here and see how we can translate that to engage our policymakers. I think that's very key. Perhaps they don't even understand what's happening in the real world. I have a feeling they don't even understand what happens in the real world. That's what I think. And lastly, I would say that for MPLAN, we're also trying to see how we can engage NEPC of course, we're planning on a conference. We're looking at collaboration. Let's have a platform where all voices are represented, where we can have them sitting at CBN and all the other MDs of government, sitting in one room, and experts are there. And it becomes, if it's an industry event where we all agree on what to do, we move with it. So we're trying to push that right now. We're in talks with NEPC as well. A collaboration that I saw that Mo Olumide talked about, collaboration. We need to look at that very critically. How can we work together in such a way that we can begin to see the traction that we are looking for? So that's what I'll end with. But this has been a wonderful engagement today and very eye-opening as well. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And Chimere Ojionu, 1 minute as well.
Okay. Once again, thank you very much. I think for me, I know every time I say this, Mr. Femi will try and shy away, but we'll have to keep pushing him. He has to do this for us. I think I would suggest that we have somebody like Mr. Femi, Madam Titi, and some other people we can get together and form a good pressure group and make sure that this government form, I don't know what we can form. So we have a representative from customs, CBN, the banking sector, people to represent exporters like us, sit down, and we should be able to articulate what our issues are. This is the problem, this is the solution. We have to find a way to make this happen. And Mr. Femi, I think you have to drive this process. I don't know how you are going to do it, but we have to get it done.
Thank
We
you.
need to have it done. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And Gagarin Madaki, 1 minute.
Yes, thank you again. Very quick one. Somebody mentioned earlier on something to do with the fact that we don't have land clearing and tractors, which in fact is a point. You want to talk about increase, we're looking at agriculture as an increase for our exports in this country. You're not looking at providing the tractors that would expand the production. You are depending on peasant farmers to expand. We're signatory to the Maputo agreement that says you should put 12% of your budget into agriculture. Nigeria puts barely 3% of their budget. So if we do not put emphasis and put pressure on them to hold up to their own part of the agreement, to things like the Maputo agreement, where you invest more in agriculture, where you cannot invest in production capacity, tractors, seedlings, all that, then we're just going to just brandishing rhetorics, because we're recycling the same group of farmers and we're claiming you have not expanded land, you have not brought more tractors. So how is your production going to increase? So in agreement with that, these are part of the things we should lock in and put pressure on government for change. We have the incentives called the EEG grant. You apply for it this year. It might take you a year or two to get it. It should be such that it's automatic. Once your process come in and you submit it, the central bank should release it to you. These are the little things that would excite people. So in addition to that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope we can really get that portal, that platform, like Chimere, my brother said, where we can put a lot of pressure. Some of us are doing our part here, but we need other voices to be added to ours. We are looking like isolated madmen when we speak in isolation. So we are all come together. No, seriously, where I've become a nuisance and I've become a critic. But some of us, as long as we have blood in our veins, we will not shut up. We will keep screaming. So that's it. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you so very much. I had someone laughing and I can see others too. Isolated madmen. Yeah, and Mo Olumide Turando, I see you have put something on the group. However, the biggest honor still lies with us to collaborate, communicate, and channel our challenges properly, research, challenge, and tweak existing interventions. With more data and less emotions. Consistently commit to the growth we seek. It will happen if we don't stop striking our arrows on the ground. It will happen or it will not happen. Okay, thank you so very much, everyone. We have had a very passionate, wonderful session again today. And appreciation again goes to the team working behind the scene. Damu Gambo says, vocabulary of the day, isolated madmen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the group. You all know yourself. Olufemi Boyede, please, a vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you again very much. And when you're talking about isolated madmen, so Mr. Madaki, you are saying that I have been mad since the past 32 years.
No,
because
we're all mad people.
Even when I used to see, I used to wonder, feel one kind. I'm sure Dr. Akoji would probably support me on this. When they announced the annual budget, when government was doing budget presentation in Sheraton, when they say comments, I'll be the first hand to come up, and they'll come here and I'll jump out and say, excuse me, this budget is not complete because non-oil export has not been articulated, blah, blah. So I'll be mad. Anyway, it's good to be mad positively. And thank you all for having joined this positive madness in the last 2 hours plus. The actual evidence of a good discussion forum, whether it's virtual or physical, is the number of people who started and the number of people who stayed. Despite our very lengthy engagement today, you have all stayed, and therefore I join our technical team in clapping for you. I again, in response to Chimere, and that will be my last comment, there is no point reinventing the wheel. We don't need to set up a committee out of a committee. MPNEN is legally registered as the voice of the Nigerian exporter. MPNEN includes all players, including lawyers, including shipping agents and clearing and forwarding agents, banks and what have you, the export value chain, in non-oil export value chain in Nigeria. That itself is already a big pressure group. In case you don't know them, export is co-chaired by 2 former ministers in Nigeria. And like I exposed earlier on, Dr. Mrs. Molara Akonji was actually the director, Trade and Exchange Department of Central Bank of Nigeria for several years, long before the 8-year tenureship came. And of course, so many other important decisions. So that's an ideal pressure group, out of which technical committees are being drawn up and created. And I don't know, I'm not preempting anything, but I know Titi Ojo is very smart, and I can imagine that MPNEN's council will be getting memoranda introducing some people very soon. Having said that, I want to thank everybody, and this is not the end of the engagement on charting the way forward. Charting the way forward is a dynamic, is a continuous, it's a progressive thing. My last speaker and contributor that Kemi read out, I admire and I applaud your versatility with words. And I think that whatever it is that we are coining out of this or other engagements, I think that you will be very, very helpful. Thank you all.
And
stay safe.